This episode is brought to you by Autistic Audits. Make sure to subscribe to his channel and give him the credit he's earned. In this episode, auditor Autistic Audits heads over to the BBC building to quietly do some filming from a public spot, but things go downhill pretty quickly. Out of nowhere, two officers turn up completely off the rails, chatting rubbish about some morning briefing and insisting he fits the description of a wanted bloke. Without carrying out any proper checks or having any legal grounds, they demand his personal details, and when he refuses to give in, they decide to arrest him. Luckily, Autistic Audits teams up with Hank's solicitors, takes the case to court, and comes out on top, winning the lawsuit against these seriously dodgy officers.
How are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
What are you up to?
Can I ask you why you're engaged in it?
Stop there a minute.
Why?
I'm just trying to identify who you are because you've got your face covered and you've... What's your name, please, sir?
I don't have to give you my name.
Okay, well, at this moment in time, we believe that you might well be wanted. Okay. Well, we'll cross that bridge in a minute once we've confirmed it. So that's why we need to identify who you are. It's all right. We'll do it another way. Just bear with us a second.
You start with your first name, please, sir.
I don't believe I have to provide your name.
Okay. Well, I believe that you're wanted, right? Okay. Just by your description alone, right? So I believe that you're wanted off a briefing that I've received today, right? So we can do it one or two ways.
Wanted for what?
Well, wanted for an offence.
What offence?
Well, wanted for an offence of harassment, actually. So I need to check you out in order to see A, if it is you, or B, if it isn't you, right? And if it isn't you, I'll bid you good day and off you go.
Right from the very first exchange, the officer's approach is completely off. He claims the auditor matches the description of a wanted person, but it's all based on some vague morning briefing. Straight away he starts pushing for personal details without giving a single solid reason. No proper description, no mention of an actual offence, just assumptions and pressure. That's not policing based on facts, that's fishing with a badge. When the auditor quite rightly refuses to hand over his name, the officer doubles down and comes out with, "If it's not you, I'll let you go." That one line shows exactly what's wrong with his way of thinking. His acting as if your right to walk away depends on passing some kind of identity test. But here in the UK, your rights aren't conditional on proving yourself against an officer's hunch. Police need clear, justifiable grounds, not some woolly briefing or gut feeling.
So if we start with your first name, or are we going to have to get a fingerprint scanner down here and find out who you are, or take you down to custody to try and identify you because you refuse to give me details?
I haven't committed an offence.
Okay, so if you haven't committed any offences, can I start with your first name, please, sir?
I don't need to give you my first name.
Okay, well, I believe you to be Christopher Green, and I'm detaining you currently.
I am not Christopher Green.
Right, okay,
that's fine. You'll be
that's fine,
arrested.
but you're currently being detained up until the point that I can establish who you are. You're refusing to give me some details, so I need to establish who you are.
Please ask you to identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm PC 17768 Neil Williams.
And you, please?
Sergeant 15563.
Thank you.
Right,
Which
okay,
station?
Can we make it nice and
Westminster.
easy for us and start giving just the first name, please?
Can I ask you which station you're from?
Yeah, I work at Withenshaw Police Station, work part of the X Department and part of the Transport Unit for Great Manchester Police.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
So we're going to start with your name then, please. And if there's nothing wrong, then we'll send you on your way.
Then out of nowhere, the officer suddenly comes out with, "I believe you to be Christopher Green." Even though the auditor calmly makes it clear he isn't, that single moment exposes the real issue here. This was never about genuinely identifying a wanted person, it was about trying to control a situation where the officer felt his authority was being challenged. The auditor hadn't done anything to raise concern. No dodgy behaviour, no evasiveness, no aggression, just a simple refusal to hand over his name without a legal reason. That's a right, not something suspicious. What makes it even worse is the officer blurting out the full name of the person he claims they're after. Under UK GDPR and the Data Protection Act 2018, police are meant to treat personal data with proper care. Announcing someone's full name as a wanted suspect without confirmation is a serious breach. It could even be defamatory, and it was completely unnecessary in terms of lawful grounds. And if, as seems likely, the name Christopher Green has nothing to do with the auditor, then the officers managed to risk harming two reputations at once, the auditors and the actual person named, assuming they even exist.
It's not Christopher Green.
Okay.
100 Alpha.
And what is your name, please? And have you got any anything to identify yourself?
I don't believe I have to answer these questions.
Right. You don't believe that you have to, right, okay. Well, I believe you to be wanted, right? So make it easy for us. Give us your details, identify yourself, show me some identification.
I don't believe I have to identify myself.
Well, you do.
We could arrest you, take you to custody and put you on a live scan machine. There's a necessity, if you're not giving your name and address, for us to verify who you are if we believe you to be wanted from the information we've got. So you can make it
I don't have to do that. You've not provided me with any grounds for an arrest.
Right, take your hands out your pocket so I can see them. I need to identify you. I'm trying to make it easy for you here, sir. So what I want,
I'm not in
what I want
any
is,
threat to you.
No,
guys.
not at all.
No, I'm not.
You had your hands in your pockets, and I don't know who you are.
Even though he's detained someone right there in public, the officer still hasn't given a single solid reason. No specific offense, no real evidence, just a vague claim that the auditor supposedly matches some description. When the auditor quite rightly asks him to explain the legal grounds for the detention, the officer suddenly changes tack and starts going on about the fact the auditor's got his hands in his pockets. It's an obvious deflection. The officer knows he hasn't got a leg to stand on, so instead of answering the clear question, "What offense do you suspect me of?" he tries to invent a brand new problem. Posture. As if standing calmly with your hands in your coat is now reason enough to be detained. And then, to make it worse, he admits again, "I don't know who you are." And that right there is the heart of it. He's detaining someone not because they've done anything wrong, but simply because he doesn't recognize them.
Up until the point that you identify yourself, make it easy for us, and if it isn't you, and I can establish who you are, and I can clearly identify you, then I'll send you on your way. Right, okay. But by you being obstructive at the moment...
I'm not being obstructive.
Well, you are, because you're refusing to provide some details.
No, because I don't believe lawfully that I have to give you those details because I haven't committed any offence of harassment. I'm sorry.
Right, okay. Well, I believe you to be wanted, so I want you to, I need you to identify yourself in order for me to make those inquiries. And once I make those inquiries and find out that you are either wanted or you're free to go, I will then send you on your way. Okay? Oh, right. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
You've asked me whether I'm Christopher Green, and I've said I'm not Christopher Green.
Right, and all I'll say to you is, right, identify yourself, because,
stop giving me orders.
I'm the police here.
Speak to me respectfully.
I have done, I've tried.
Speak to me respectfully.
What I'll say to you is, you're not going anywhere up until the point that I can clearly identify you, okay?
Right, but please continue to speak to me respectfully. Okay,
so what's your name, please?
To speak to you, always respectfully.
With your name, please?
The auditor has stayed calm, clear, and completely within his rights, simply pointing out that he hasn't committed any crime and doesn't have to hand over ID without a lawful reason. But instead of dealing with that professionally, the officer loses it altogether, shouting, "No, I'm the police here." As if just yelling his title somehow makes what he's doing lawful. That outburst isn't only unprofessional, it's telling. It shows the officer isn't in control, not of the situation and not of the law. He's rattled. And when someone in authority gets rattled without any legal grounds, they often fall back on aggression as a way to intimidate. That loud, overbearing posture isn't about resolving anything properly. It's a tactic. He's not enforcing the law, he's trying to frighten someone into giving in.
I'm not giving you my name.
Right, have you got any ID on you?
I'm not. I don't have to do this.
The problem is, we suspect you of an offence.
Sorry mate, why do you believe that you don't have to do this?
Because I don't believe I've committed a criminal offence.
Right, okay. Well, then make it easy for me, sir, right?
I don't have to make anything easy for you.
Yeah, you do, unfortunately.
No, I don't.
Why are you being so obstructive? If you're not committed any offence, we can check your details. Then
I don't have to discuss anything with you.
Why are you trying to avoid it?
I'm not trying to avoid anything.
Because it's going to be a long process for you if we have to take you to custody and put you on one of them live scan machines to find out who you are.
Well,
so it sounds straightforward. If you just give us your details, we can check if you want or not. If you're not, absolutely fine, which is what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm not Christopher Green, and I'm saying I've not committed defensive harassment.
Who are you
okay?
then?
I've just told you I don't believe that I have to give you that information.
The auditor isn't being awkward or obstructive. He's simply and calmly asserting his right not to hand over personal details without proper lawful grounds. That's not avoidance, that's a citizen exercising the very rights the police are supposed to protect. But instead of respecting that, the officer turns to intimidation, warning that if the auditor doesn't comply, he'll be dragged through a long and completely unnecessary custody process. That's not justice. That's punishment for refusing to bow down, and then comes the comment about the live scan machine, which really gives the game away. It shows the motive isn't about lawful grounds at all, it's about pressure, inconvenience, and making someone's life difficult until they give in. When an officer has to fall back on threats just because a member of the public knows their rights, it exposes a serious flaw in both training and mindset. Good policing isn't about coercion, it's about accountability. And right there, the officer ended up proving the auditor's point better than the auditor ever could.
And if I do, then I can give it to your desk sergeant, or I can give it to a judge.
Covering, please, so I can see exactly who you are.
No.
Right, I'm going to let go of your arm now, yeah? Okay. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to be putting your hands in your pockets.
Promise
right?
you I won't do that.
Okay, because I need to be satisfied that you've not got something that can harm me or anyone else.
I promise you there's nothing in my pockets that could harm you.
It is, isn't it? Boss.
Do you want to go and have a look at that picture? I'll stay here.
So guys, it looks like I'm going to be arrested here. Could just turn this off?
Right, you're under arrest on suspicion of harassment.
According to the evidence, unlawfully arrested. I've now passed the case on to HNK, and they are currently considering all of the information before they either accept or reject the case, and I'll let you know what happens there, guys.
This arrest marked the lowest point yet in a chain of bad decisions. After refusing to give any clear, lawful grounds and repeatedly pressuring the auditor for personal details, the officer went ahead with an arrest, despite no crime being committed and no legitimate suspicion to justify it. It was a textbook abuse of power. But in the end, justice came through. The auditor later confirmed that HNK solicitors took on his case, and just a few weeks ago he announced that he won his claim, and that win isn't just personal. It's a powerful reminder that unlawful policing comes with consequences. What unfolded here was a disturbing example of policing going completely off the rails. Auditor Autistic Audits was quietly filming outside the BBC building, perfectly within his rights, when two officers showed up and immediately escalated the situation. They cited some vague morning briefing and claimed he matched a description. The lead officer wasted no time demanding the auditor's name. But when the auditor refused, standing firmly on his legal rights, things went downhill fast. Instead of offering reasonable suspicion or any factual grounds, the officer simply declared that he believed the auditor was a man called Christopher Green. He even said the full name out loud, a shocking breach of privacy, especially given there was zero confirmation of identity. That alone raises serious questions about data protection, police training, and procedure. When the auditor calmly pushed back, asking again and again for the legal grounds, the officers didn't explain. They doubled down. And then came the outburst, "No, no, I'm the police here," shouted aggressively by the lead officer. It was a chilling moment. This wasn't about public safety or due process. It was about control, plain and simple. To make things worse, the second officer tried to paint the auditor's lawful resistance as obstruction, warning him that if they had to take him into custody, the process would be long and uncomfortable. It was nothing more than a scare tactic, bullying, dressed up as policing, an attempt to pressure him into giving up his rights, and it's a familiar pattern. When officers don't get instant compliance, they start threatening consequences, trying to wear people down. Eventually, they arrested him. No solid ID match. No evidence of wrongdoing. Just bad assumptions and a blatant misuse of authority. But this story didn't end on the pavement. It ended in court. And as the auditor confirmed himself, HNK solicitors took on his case, and he won. A victory not just for him, But for everyone sick of seeing power misused and rights trampled, this whole episode highlights everything that's wrong with that kind of forceful policing: vague suspicions treated as facts, people's rights ignored, aggression used to cover weak legal footing, and in the end, public money wasted on lawsuits that never should have happened. Police officers need to understand that authority doesn't mean acting without accountability, and that the law won't back them when they get it wrong. That it's time that culture changed, and this case is one step in the right direction. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me keep going with my independent coverage.